Greetings and welcome to a new narration by DrTorment. The following story may prove a little sensitive to certain viewers and listeners. Discretion is advised, and consider this your one and only warning. Now, with that out of the way, let us proceed. For as long as I can remember, my family home has been a conundrum, a never-ending maze of impossible coincidences, unexplained phenomena, and strange occurrences. It got so weird that even local skeptics started believing something was off. I used to think it was haunted, but then things started to unravel in a way I couldn't ignore. Let's start with the most benign glitch. Objects would randomly disappear. My keys, for example, vanish from the kitchen counter only to reappear inside the fridge. Then there was the journal I kept as a teenager. It disappeared for months, reappearing one day in a dusty corner of the attic, its pages filled with words I didn't recognize. Then, more unnerving things started to happen. Once, while walking down the hallway, I experienced an overpowering déjà vu. I was engulfed by an emotion I couldn't quite put my finger on, like nostalgia but more intense. It felt as if I'd lived that moment 1,000 times before. I brushed it off until one night I had what I could only describe as a near-death experience, or an NDE. I was suddenly enveloped in light and warmth, as if drifting into another realm. I felt an overwhelming sense of unity, like I was connected to everyone and everything. Then, just as suddenly, I snapped back into my body, lying on my bed. I started researching these events, diving into ancient texts, modern science, and arcane philosophy. And let me tell you, the rabbit hole is deep. My search led me to Gödel's incompleteness theorems, mathematical equations suggesting that some truths can't be proven within a given system. It felt like an echo reverberating through my mind. Could it be that our understanding of reality is forever limited, always eluding complete comprehension? And then there were the unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs. We lived near an Air Force base, and growing up, I often saw strange lights in the sky. But what stood out wasn't their bizarre flight patterns. It was the timing. They appeared when something significant happened in my life, almost like cosmic milestones marking my journey. It was around this time that I met Sarah, a psychologist with an interest in Eastern philosophy. She introduced me to the concept of non-dualism, the idea that all of existence is interconnected, emanating from a single source, much like ripples in a pond. It struck a chord with me. Could it be that all these glitches were simply reminders of this profound unity? Sarah and I began to document our experiences in what we jokingly refer to as the Big Book of Glitches. Over time, the tome grew thick with accounts not just from us, but also from friends and strangers who had been lured by the inexplicable magnetism of our home. Even the concept of death took on new meaning. My grandmother passed away, but her presence never left the house. Sometimes I'd smell her perfume, or a cold draft would sweep through a room she loved, bringing with it the subtle vibration of her laughter. Was this memory wipe, as Sarah put it, a part of this cosmic software? Did experiences carry over from one life to another? As years rolled by, I began to see the glitches less as anomalies and more as features intricately woven into the fabric of our lives. They were like Easter eggs, hidden layers of reality waiting for us to discover. Was our collective understanding of reality evolving, getting us closer to the source code? Or were we simply participants in a cosmic game with rules far beyond our understanding? Sarah and I soon realized we weren't alone in our quest. Online communities sprung up, forums buzzing with tales as wild and bewildering as our own. We found camaraderie in this digital landscape, a tribe of fellow explorers seeking out to map out the unknown. We coined it the Age of Open Source Spirituality, a decentralized, user-driven approach to understanding our reality. It was exhilarating, but also terrifying. The more we delved into these glitches, the more we sensed the shadowy contours of an intelligence, something or someone that seemed to be guiding us or maybe manipulating our actions. Were these the architects of the simulation, overseeing their grand experiment? The strangest part was the sensation that the glitches were starting to respond to our thoughts, as if the code was becoming self-aware or adapting to our inquiries. Simple patterns emerged, then more complex ones. It was like cracking the security of an impossibly sophisticated software, each revelation pulling us deeper into its labyrinthine logic. Finally, we couldn't resist the impulse to try something audacious. Gathering a circle of our closest confidants, we decided to attempt a collective action, something so focused and attentional that it would either confirm our theories or expose them as the ramblings of overactive imaginations. We chose a date, synchronized our watches, and at the exact appointed time, we all concentrated on a singular, almost absurdly specific thought: that a blue rose would manifest in the center of our living room. This was our ultimate cheat code, a command designed to interrogate the very foundations of our reality. As the seconds ticked by, the room grew thick with anticipation, each of us submerged in a sea of focused mental energy. And then, just as we were about to surrender to the disillusionment, it happened. A soft pop, a brief flicker of light, and there it was, a blue rose. Impossibly vivid, standing tall in a vase that had been empty moments before. In that instant, everything we'd theorized, everything we dared to believe, snapped into focus. We were not just spectators, we were participants in the most intricate mind-bending game ever conceived. The blue rose became our totem, a symbol of possibilities beyond imagination. We continued our research, now with a new sense of purpose and urgency. Because if a collective thought could manifest a blue rose, what else was possible? Could we rewrite the glitches, recode the simulation, heal the fractures in our world? The implications were staggering and not a little frightening. But we were committed to diving deeper, no matter where this rabbit hole would lead us. Because now we knew. The only limit was our own belief in what's possible. And the game of reality had just become a lot more interesting.